with 3 teams now gone, advanced to the grand finals, Takada. That opens up 3 different drop spots, which we have seen teams move over and take up for an uncontested drop spot for themselves.
Speaking about uncontested drop spots, all 3 games have been won by duos from uncontested drop spots. So if we're talking about odds, we're looking here, Merstash, Malabuka. They're not really in their favor, as the early game can be so difficult to overcome. But let's see what happens throughout this match. Merstash, Malabuka got eliminated right off the bat first 2 games. Third game lasted a little bit longer, made it to the bunker stage of the match, but then got taken out as well. So can they replicate this, or will Ziandi, Turtle, or Finn and his duo partner make something happen?
Yeah, this is kind of what we saw before, with everybody kind of not wanting to go for the 50-50. You don't want to throw the game away just like that, no matter how good that you feel that you are. And because of all these teams staying alive in the fashion that they did, very, very similar to what we see here, it was Trippern and Fredoxie that moved over towards Grim Gates, stole away not only the loot, but the mythic gatekeeper and the coin as well. So I think a lot of these teams are now put on notice about the roaming players that are coming in, trying to steal away the loot, trying to eke away the coin at an opportune time. But 2 quick eliminations for Scroll and Scribe on the other side of the map.
Great way to start it off. These early game elims can not only free up a bit of, you know, urge to get those tags, but also make it so your early game's a lot more efficient in terms of just focusing on your loot path, focusing on your rotation. Tace and Benno now, they had a very strong early and mid game in the last match, but when they went for height, they got taken out. So we'll see if they can replicate that early game, but finish stronger here in the late game now.
It's kind of one of those things that you don't really expect. You know, the chain of Hades, especially in a 1v2 situation where you were getting targeted the backside of zone. Who else would be out there, you know, kind of wondering Benno Tayson. But now we're seeing how it all starts. Darky's going to go down to Lazen. 3 teams over here towards Fencing Fields. And I don't think Venno and Tayson want to be the team to kind of make that first move unless they got a huge first shot. And right now it does look like Tayson is eyeing up an opportunity on the sky jump. Spots him out a few times. Lands a 35 shot. Not much to get aggressive, but it does turn the tides in their favor.
Trying to remember if they've played very aggressive. I don't think they have in Fencing Fields. I mean, they'll take shots at each other, but they normally don't go for a full-on engagement. So I think those duos will go their own ways now. For Blurfire, though, and Brax, they were quickly getting out of this kind of risky situation when you have Marius around, Sangild around, all the duos in the Grim Gate eyeballing you. You don't want to get too up close and personal, as the third parties can come through, but it is a 2 versus 1, so they might even go straight on in here. I think they were kind of hunting for the player. They didn't even know he was in that cone, but after finding him now, it looks like they are going to be able to pick up a quick elimination here.
Yeah, that's one team at least going down from Grim Gates. At one point or another, there was about 7-8 teams in and around Grim Gate. Almost 20% of the lobby is ready to put it all on the line. Some going directly for it. Others just trying to go for Surge. And if you're Merstash, it's all about survival. Malabuka was already taken down very, very early on. So that puts a lot of pressure on him. And the story of this team so far throughout this major has been uncontested. They average a 2nd place. Contested, they average 28th place. And the thing that makes that stat so scary is they're landing Grim Gates. They're not going to get it uncontested. So they are going to face adversity if they want to continue to land over at this spot.
They're playing for all or nothing here at the Grim Gate. As now Fredoxie and Trip. Last match, they were able to secure the medallion, but they had the boss boxed up way before the other opponents got close by. So now that they don't have as much real estate here around Cerebus, they're going to have to kind of lead him on in, which is exactly what Fredoxie did perfectly here, actually. So hopefully they can pick up this quick elimination now. Get that medallion, that mythic loot.
Same as last game. Using a lot of the action going on around them as a distraction. Obviously, Trippern getting that elimination onto Malibuca is a huge plus. And it wasn't until they tried to fight for the bunker they were taken down by Finn and Kentic. But Andy Turtle trying to cover onto the chase. Rebels Roost, where Dexy and Eclipse landed. Another team moving in to contest it. So when you think it's safe, it's no longer going to be so. As Andy and Turtle, they don't want to necessarily let this medallion go for free. If they figure out a way to escape, I could see them letting it go. But for free, not on their watch.
Not on their watch. As the Andy and Turtle now force the box up here. Will a box fight come from it? I'm not sure. It's up to Fredoxie and Trip. And what they want from this situation is a damage. 13 builds to work with. Not a lot of potential to play extra aggressive. Unless they hit some sort of crazy shot here. But I might have spoke too soon,
wow.
Jacob. Fredoxie says, I don't care. I'm going right into the box. Andy gets knocked down. Now the 2 versus 1 for this duo. And even having that medallion in hand, they can chase Turtle very easily here.
Oh, it's a huge opportunity brought to you by the medallion. Quickly dashing over in that direction. As soon as that fight stops, you see them kind of just playing the rest of this game. They got a ton of damage early on, thanks to the first elimination onto Malibuca, thanks to the prolonged fight over towards Grim Gates, and even finishing that one there. So you gotta imagine they got a little bit of an easier road as long as they can find a great position. But this is the stage of the game. Takata Forecast Towers now start to make their appearance, and already you see one being captured.
It's going to be Noah and Chinho who are going to get that Forecast Tower. As a reminder, this is going to allow them to see the zone, well, next zone, before it has even appeared, so they can kind of prep themselves on how they want to rotate beforehand, giving them that advantage, that upper hand compared to the other players. Turtle, though, now looks like he has been caught. Oh no, it was actually Finn. This is not Trippern. Fredoxie continuing the pursuit for Turtle. It's the other duo that lands at Grim Gate. And now it's a 1 versus 1. I'm not sure if this was a 2v1 originally, but it's looking a lot more even now.
Yeah, and there's still 2 more teams to their west. Another one just above them trying to get that reboot. And then another one above them on the outskirts of the mountain. Turtle probably hears the reboot. He wants nothing to do with this. He wants a great chance to try to get Z-Andy back in the game. You see him backtracking to where Z-Andy actually did go down. So at the very minimum, we know that he has the card. And that reboot that I was talking about is Malibuca and Mustache getting back into the game.
Ooh, I like that, Jacob. I like the sound of that. With 2 matches left, they don't have a lot of opportunities to qualify here at day 1. I'm trying to remember. I think they were 37th on the leaderboard in the last match when they were around the bunker. And they didn't secure too much points after that as they got caught off guard. So if they don't end up winning a match or even getting to the late game, I'm not even sure if they'll finish in the top 25, which is what you need to stay in the upper bracket for tomorrow. So remember, if you don't win a game here, you want to at least get top 25 on the leaderboard. So even just a bit of points could be good for Mustache and Mali.
Yeah, and lower bracket round 2 tomorrow is not something I would wish on anybody in the world. Because at least lower bracket round 1, you don't have the good day. You have another chance with lower bracket round 2. But that's where the lower bracket kind of ends for teams qualifying from one to the next of the lower bracket. You either advance to the upper bracket from lower bracket round 2, or your FNCS comes to an end. And with how long and how hard some of these teams have been fighting all season long, taking that break, practicing, trying to adapt, adjust as much as they can, it's not something where you really want to find yourself and just really leave it all on the line for that one opportunity.
Pressure gets put onto your shoulders, especially here in the semifinals. Are you strong enough to stand tall, though? Chicho, once again, with his little surge base here. No bush bombs, though. But he does have that water bending mythic, so he can take shots from afar without using up any ammunition at all if he chooses to. But the DMR is going to be the more consistent option here, the more viable one to land those tags, as you can see.
Trueleg's base. Even though it's Chicho inside, Trueleg's probably has one somewhere else. I don't really see him too far off. Just on the low ground in the bush. Probably just trying to clean up, loot up. I think Levin and Mini were the ones to kind of break that one down. They have their roles when they're in a position like that, but another early game fight. Marius, they already have 2 eliminations, and now they're going for another 2 more. Gris is in the line of sight. Skavi is already covered distance and try to get away, but that distance doesn't matter. Marius, he's got a beam with that Thunderburst SMG, and getting damage like that is a whole feeling of confidence. You know they're going to move in and try to end this one quick. And Marius and Sangil have an average of 56 seconds this season from start to end in some of these fights. So unfortunately, it's not going to be a 56-second fight this time around. They're able to slip through, but it just shows how dominant a team like this is.
It's nasty how accurate Marius is jumping around with that Thunder Burst. Making use of the weapon. Swizzy Vanyak getting themselves into a box fight here, and this is looking like more of an interesting one. I don't know, I'm getting vibes that this is not just for damage, Jacob. They want some eliminations here. It's Noah. It's Chino. Swizzy seeing if he can get all the way in the box here. He's taking pop shots, corner shots, but nothing yet to put himself in.
You see that key fighting for that piece control. No one really wanted to give it up easy. Finally peeks through, lands another shot on the Noah, but takes an even bigger shot right back from Chino. Game a little bit of cat and mouse, but you can see on the minimap, the third team now rotating in that direction, and Chino just... the awareness over 9,000 right now. Immediately goes to the cone, peeks behind, and spots that team out. No sneaky plays for you. And that's going to allow them the information to make a rotation like this to try to disengage.
It's actually really good. Headshot snipe would be perfect, but it's a DMR in the inventory, so even so, it wouldn't be enough to knock them. 270 wood being the only materials left to work with. You can kind of even assume maybe that your opponents will realize that you could be running low here, so they are in a bit of danger if they can't get more mats. Sky and Scroll, on the other hand, looking a lot healthier. Where will the zone pull, though? It looks like it's going to be more towards the east, so it's not even going to move too much, which means they have a lot more time here to continue just kind of taking shots at each other, refarming. Don't have to do anything risky at all.
Especially 80 people still left alive. It's when it comes to Storm Surge, the threshold isn't necessarily going to be massive. It is going to turn on a little late, so it can sneak up on you. Damage being taken by Scry from both angles, one from below, one from above. Misha trying to get into the box, but a third party now making it that much more risky to try to finish a fight like this, but he's not giving up on the play just yet. From one to the next, but so much damage, but he lands a great shot on the Scroll, but he's forced to slow things down. With only HP left, he has to figure out where he's going to get those shields from. Meanwhile, his teammates still putting the pressure on, not wanting to let them heal up for free, especially knowing how much damage they put onto their opponents up until this time.
You see how many chug splashes they had, though? You can tell from afar that they're already back to almost full HP and shields, which is why the aggression kind of lowered here. Misha was forced to pop a banana. Lucia tried to make something happen, but after those chug splashes come through, no longer worth it, especially in the 1 versus 2. It was still successful, though, in terms of damage. Having no eliminations, that's huge, but you got to be careful. Lucia dropped to 76 HP now, no more shield. He's going to back up and heal once again. The back and forth from these duos. Until right now, Scroll and Sky actually might continue the pressure here. They do have the HP and shield advantage. 68 white. Misha now just one shot away from getting knocked. He has to be careful.
Yeah, Sky and Scroll have been doing such a great job of fighting around all these shots, around all the pressure coming in. And from what looked so bleak moments ago, they've turned it all the way around. Misha's down, and now you can see they're just going to try to rotate to the back side of the zone, take the sacrifice here in terms of the storm damage, the HP that they're losing, so that way they could try to find an easier rotation instead of trying to go through 1, 2, even 3 teams. And if you look at their damage, 1,000 above the threshold. They have all the time in the world to make a rotation like this as long as they continue to find the heals.
From pure action to calmness here with Tayson and Veno. They're keeping an eye at the Surge base that I believe Lysen's on. Still at their drop spot. They didn't have to move at all from when the game started. But on Rift Island, a lot of duos. The Rift Island has been increasingly popular throughout the day. More than the qualifiers from what I've seen. Malabuka Merstash, though, Jacob. Is this the match? Is this going to be theirs? They do not have an incredible loadout or even too much to work with.
Yeah,
are those from the River of Styx, or there's no way they have the medallion?
No, yeah, it is the underworld dashes from the river, and you can see them below on the threshold because Malabuka, remember, he went down very, very early on in this game, but the Chain of Hades through the build, Malabuka able to get some quick damage, gets him above the threshold. Somebody's still suffering the Storm Surge so far, and Malabuka trying to use those dashes to get out. And it's going to be successful. Such a scary position to be in just moments ago. Using the Chain of Hades, getting some damage through the build to barely get above that damage threshold. And it's Fredoxie, it's Trippern on the other side. Remember, they're the ones who in consecutive games are able to steal away the loot from Grim Gates while all that action is going down.
Looking for a quick scope. Fredoxie, though, that's a loadout that you want to have. They are the ones with the medallion and the mythic loot. So now Malabuka Merce dash, but no dashes left. Not too many materials and not a good loadout. They will be able to make it to the late game, I assume, but they're going to want to refresh if they want to get that VR. Trippern Fredoxie, though, they're set up for success so far. They just have to keep playing consistent here as the match goes on.
Oof. Literally moments ago, they were like 70 or so above. Now 34 below. They know other teams are still not nearby positioned here, but if they're going to fight the ones on top of Rift Island, it is going to come down to some sort of a close-range box fight. So I want to see them try to look off in the distance, but even then they're getting targeted out. You see them forced to build just to try to shield themselves.
Robin and Ju. See what they were able to pull off here. They were also below Storm Surge, but it looks like with one knock, they might be able to get their foot in the door once again. There is 73 players up. It's 5th zone, so it has to drop down to 60 if we no longer want Storm Surge. Merstash and Malabuka going to choose the little sneaky route here. They know there is a duo close by. I believe a window open right now. Jump shot going to come through, potentially here. It's actually going to be the Chain of Hades, and it gets put to good use as they get the knock.
We saw a glimpse of it last game, where Venno and Tayson were taken by. Now we're seeing it in full form. Merstash gets shielded, and immediately you see him separate himself from that one singular player to try to make sure that he can heal up for good. Fredoxie Trippern, seeing a lot of the noise. They want to take part in it. Dashes his way to safety before reuniting with Trippern. Great decision making between the two. There's a huge strength in numbers, and you don't want to bite off more than you could chew at any moment. Doesn't matter how much fighting you heard going on moments ago. There's only so much time that you can give up before your opponents are fully healed up.
I mean, even if they have a huge upper hand here in the engagement, they could know that Malabuka Merstash are very low. They have so much loot materials. Like, they're so set up to play this late game, it might just not even be worth it to take any risks here. All they have to do is play it out and get the zone. They're pretty far away here as zone has pulled to the other side of the map, so they're gonna have to find a way in, whether it be the rift or the launch pad here by the Rift Island. Even just the River of Styx, as it's in that part of the map, but a lot of players are going to be choosing that rift.
Yeah, that kind of doubles up because it's a free rotation, or as free as one can be, but it also allows you to save those underworld dashes for later on in the game, because where the zone is pulling, there's going to be no chance or opportunity to replenish any of those. And you see Zandy, Turtle, one of the highest teams up, trying to find their position, but it's Hoodoo's just under pressure, forced all the way down low, already lost his duo. Veek's there to try to clean that one up. Unfortunately enough, he was able to kind of escape, but at least he was able to scrounge together whatever loot he found there on the floor, which included some heals and materials.
Gonna make his way deeper into the zone here, towards what looks like another solo. But what does he want from it? 19 below. He wants a bit of damage. He doesn't need the elimination. But if he gets the opportunity to, almost fully boxed, you got to be careful. Veek now just one shot away from getting eliminated, and there it is. Misha, Lucia, once again coming out on top here.
Look at the opportunity, too, that they took. Nobody is close by in the minimap to really disrupt that fight, especially since they're on the side of a mountain. Great awareness and opportunity. Map, even though he has to try to rotate, he was able to get that first shot, knowing that that player had no shields, and it was a must. It was a must elimination, not necessarily for the points, but for the Storm Surge. They were barely able to get above that threshold, and that's what's kind of fueling them to continue moving forward in this game. Two teams still need to go down before placement points are even tasted in this game by any duo still left alive.
Gonna elevate themselves here. They want to get to the zone as quickly as possible, almost beelining it, which is working just fine here with how the zone has played out. They know that there is a duo above them. Gonna choose to get in the bush here and kind of wait it out a little bit. Eyes are on them at the moment, so they have to be a bit careful. Reuse the Flowberry Fizz, gain that mobility once again, heal up as well. And now they can continue to rotate. 63 above, so they're gonna have to plan ahead here. They want to position themselves somewhere where they can have a good field of view on the opponents rotating in, but you got to be careful with a duo like Pink and Vico. We know how aggressive they can get, especially when they're following you into zone.
Yeah, when you only spend 90 seconds on high ground throughout the qualifiers, every team needs to watch out for Pink and Vico. Even if you feel safe thinking it's a slow side rotation, they'll be waiting around any corner at a moment's notice. The consistency out of them has been insane. They just need to be able to win one of these next 2 games. Otherwise, probably got their spot in uppers tomorrow on lock, and they'll have to do it again.
We said that all 3 games are won by duos on the high ground, but they're also duos that were known to play the high ground in the qualifiers. So will Veno and Tayson be able to make something happen here? They were below on Surge, which caused them to make extra aggressive plays, but it led to Veno's demise, and now Tayson's left alone. He has Chug Splashes, he has a Flowberry Fizz, but he no longer has a teammate.
It's almost that feeling of deja vu where you're playing so well up into this stage in the game, and that's where everything comes crumbling down. I would say the blessing is Tayson being 65 above the damage threshold. 1 charge left on the Flowberry Fizz, which is almost immediately going to be used for this next rotation. You can see how dangerous it is. So many teams and players jumping over, going through some of these builds. Even Storm Surge forcing its hand in some of the decision-making going around here today.
Vico Pink continuing with their aggression. They know players below them are low. Looking for options or opportunities here, even though they already have a decent amount of damage. Going to continue staying ahead, though. They want to be positioned well, as Merstash and Malabuka, from the start of this match, have been in shambles, basically. And that continues here until they're able to find a refresh.
Yeah. Even though they weren't necessarily uncontested this game, I feel like because of that reboot and the timing of it, everybody was kind of out of Grim Gates when it all happened. Tayson falling below, misses the first shot. Only 2 builds left to his name. Run into a whole other team. That's Malabuka. That's Merstash. And he's going to be left by himself yet again. And he goes back to back. Tayson taking down the Major 1 champs.
Huge way to continue his game forwards. But the issue is the 2 players he just eliminated, they were also in shambles. So all he's got now is 15 builds. No shields, no heals, but 59 HP. Gonna drop down for a bit of that ammunition. He missed some brick from the elimination, so he is gonna recuperate that. Now 17 builds instead of 15. Not too bad. But Howley, you gotta be careful. Good night. Put to sleep as well. Tayson now with 3.
Another elimination. And it's a player who's almost in shambles. Not a lot of loot to be gathered. But for Tayson, something's better than none. Still trying to move forward. Changes layers. And this is where you're going to try to stagger himself. Gathering the information right here is crucial for Tayson on this next rotation. It's really going to determine whether he lives or gets sent back to the lobby.
1 more player, also shambles, but Tayson's gonna be the one going down this time. Moppy Hero continuing on the edge of the zone, but they gotta be careful. Knocked down in the sky. Only had 1 build to work with, though. Kiro is gonna see if he can continue this duo's momentum forward, but it's gonna be Fastroki and Chicho who are looking incredibly healthy in front. Kiro is gonna have to do some serious damage if he wants this elimination.
He's just hot on the heels, doesn't want to let him escape. Even if reuniting with his duo, Kiro's up for a challenge, trying to break his way through, gets him down to just 50 HP, but the teamwork making the dream work. They're able to get 1, but Fredoxie with a huge snipe, taking down Clone. Gets dropped down to 38 HP. High ground putting pressure down, but Trippern is there to save the day. And with that mythic loot from Grim Gates, they immediately dash to the front side of zone and find some safety.
They need to heal up, though. And if you look in the clouds and the stratosphere up in the ozone, Volco Vortexers incredibly high. They do have a banana and a Flowberry Fizz that they can use to not take any fall damage. But do they have a heal off? What is their ultimate game plan here? As Tripp and Fredoxie now have been put in danger. As Fredoxie has no shield, forced to pop a medkit. Tripp now has to cover him.
Yeah, I think he has most of the mythic loot as well. Vanyak's gonna get taken down, but Pink gets lost along the way again. Vico by himself. Zone's gonna cut back. He goes back for all that loot. This might be a little bit of a chance here with so many builds. He's waiting for even more as Pink finally gets taken down. Vico now by himself, top 7 situation, finds another elimination on his way down, trying to stack together as much loot as possible, and even changes layers. Notice Vico, the low ground king, not trying to force himself all the way down.
Trip, though, right beside him. He does have Fredoxie as well, now with a bit more time to recuperate that shield that they lost. Volko, I believe, dropped a little bit more, so he can see if he can find a bit of opportunities in applying that pressure to these duos that are down below. Trip, though, taking shots, continuing forwards. Just 4 duos left.
When things were looking bleak, they figure out a way to bring it back. 2 full duos, 2 solos running around. Vortexers are gone. Volko, from everything looking great to nothing going right. He's by himself, but Splash, Font, they're able to steal away that high ground. They're in full control, but they're getting targeted from above. They run out of builds. Splash goes down. Splash goes down. Everything going sideways. And Fredoxie and Trippern at the perfect moment steal away the game and advance to the finals.
What did we just witness, Jacob? Fredoxie and Trip, they were on the low ground holding strong. Issue was there was 2 teams on high ground. One of them goes down, other gets knocked to fall damage. Fredoxie, Trip called a cleanup crew. They finish it and book their ticket to the grand finals.
Professional Fortnite players, content creators, and now lumberjacks because they chopped down height. Caused their demise. That was such an exciting way to finish. And I told Trippern, even when he wasn't doing good, your gameplay is exciting. He was having none of it because he didn't play well. And this is exactly why, whether you're playing well or not, you put up such an exciting game, and it paid off in the end. This is the moment everything comes crashing down. Not 1, but 2 straight eliminations before they seal the deal and take the game.
The low ground curse of the semifinals has been broken. Our first duo to take a victory royale from the low ground, Fredoxie and Trippern. They've done it. They've made it to the grand finals. What a way to finish it off.
Yeah, what a way indeed. The redemption comes through from their major 1, but throw it back on over to Frankie, Levin, and Mini to break down game 4.